Sharpest look yet at 3I Atlas, that mysterious interstellar object racing through our solar system.
Well, so as you know, 3I means it's the third interstellar object that we have discovered in the last, I think, 8 years. The first two have been very faint, pretty much impossible for us amateurs to capture. This one early, even in July.
When 3I Atlas first entered the solar system, astronomers expected another quiet interstellar passerby. Strange, yes, but still just a rock traveling through the void. But what the James Webb Space Telescope has just detected inside this object has overturned every assumption, every model, and every expectation. Something inside 3I Atlas is moving. Something that behaves nothing like gas, dust, or rock. Something that looks alive. Before we move forward, like the video and subscribe to the channel. What began as a routine spectral scan has turned into one of the most shocking discoveries in modern astronomy. The Webb team was simply trying to perform a high-resolution reading of the object's internal composition, hoping to determine whether 3I Atlas was made of unusual interstellar material. Interstellar objects often carry rare molecular signatures, exotic carbon structures, or remnants of long-dead stars. But no one was prepared for what the telescope captured. Inside 3I Atlas, buried beneath its hardened, heat-forged exterior, James Webb detected movements, rhythmic, repeating, temperature-linked oscillations coming from within the object. At first, astronomers assumed it was rotational heat dispersing through the internal structure. Heat waves can create signatures that look like movement, but the pattern didn't match random thermal behavior. It was ordered, cyclical, too consistent to dismiss. The team reran the scan. Same result. They rotated the instrument. Same result. They used alternate wavelengths. Same result. Something inside 3I Atlas was changing temperature in pulses. Pulses that did not match the object's rotation, orbit, or solar heating curve. Something inside was generating its own thermal fluctuations, like an internal engine or a biological rhythm. At this moment, the room fell silent. These pulses were not random. They were not chaotic. They were not noise. They were timed. As scientists watched the data stream fill with repeating patterns, the realization spread like a shock wave. The thermal fluctuations inside 3I Atlas followed a frequency, one that mirrored metabolic processes rather than geological ones. Nobody wanted to say the word alive. Nobody dared to use that terminology, but the implication was impossible to ignore. If something inside the object is producing heat cycles without external influence, then 3I Atlas may not be a simple shard of cosmic stone. It could be something else entirely, something carrying internal complexity, perhaps even internal compartments. The Webb team immediately attempted to determine the cause of the oscillations. Could it be crystalline transitions? Number. Could it be volatile pockets activating? No, the wavelengths did not match. Could it be trapped gases shifting under pressure? Impossible. The object showed no expansion. Then another detail appeared. As 3I Atlas moved farther from the sun, the pulses didn't weaken. They strengthened. Heat emitted from the object rose slightly, even as solar input decreased. This is the opposite of what natural bodies do. They cool, they dim, they stabilize. 3I Atlas was warming itself. That was the moment NASA escalated the data review to the astrobiology division. Suddenly, this wasn't just an interstellar object anymore. It was an interstellar mystery capable of producing energy from within, something no comet, asteroid, or frozen fragment has ever demonstrated. But the shock didn't end there. Later in the analysis, Webb's spectrometers isolated faint but highly unusual molecular signatures trapped deep beneath the object's crust. These signatures did not match familiar organics or water vapor. They didn't match the carbon chains observed in Oumuamua or the supervolatile compounds observed in Borsov. Instead, they resembled structured molecules, repeating sequences indicative of complex chemistry. Not life, not cells, not tissue, but not simple matter either. These molecules arrange themselves in patterns too orderly to be random, yet too unusual to be biological. Something in the middle, something new, something we have never cataloged before. Then came the most shocking detail. The molecular structure shifted slightly from one scan to the next, adapting to internal temperature changes. Matter doesn't adapt. Biology adapts, systems adapt, machines adapt, but rocks do not. Whatever lies hidden inside 3I Atlas isn't passive, it's reactive. It responds to stimuli, and it appears to be changing over time. Astronomers tried to determine how large the internal region was. Webb can't see through rock, but using infrared mapping, the team identified an internal cavity, a void, a hollow space, roughly spherical and positioned near the object's central mass. Inside that cavity is where the pulses originate. Inside that cavity is where the molecular signatures shift. Inside that cavity is where something is active, and that cavity is moving closer to the object's outer shell over time, as if expanding, growing, or breaking through internal layers. If this were a natural void, it would not change shape. If this were thermal expansion, it would collapse upon cooling. If this were random cracking, the movement would be chaotic. But this movement was purposeful, slow, directed, consistent. Meanwhile, the ghost shell surrounding 3I Atlas, the perfectly symmetrical halo discovered weeks earlier, began expanding at a faster rate. That expansion correlates directly with the increased internal pulsing rate. The object is changing from the inside out, and the shell is responding. Then came the final piece that pushed this event from strange to alarming. The internal pulses began to match a frequency modulation pattern, like a beat, a rhythm, not fast, not frantic, slow, deep, coordinated. For a natural object to produce such a pattern is unprecedented. Cosmic bodies don't beat, they don't pulse rhythmically, they don't synchronize internal activity, but this one does. And as it drifts outward into deeper space, that rhythm grows clearer, sharper, more defined. Something inside 3I Atlas is waking up, or it was never asleep. Even more unsettling, the direction of motion within the cavity suggests that the internal region is gradually shifting outward along the same axis that points toward Earth, not dramatically, but enough that scientists notice the alignment. This does not mean the object is changing course. It's not steering. It's not reacting to Earth. But the energy source or internal mechanism inside it is moving directionally, and that direction happens to be toward us. NASA has not released this information publicly. Not the pulses, not the cavity, not the shifting material. Only a small group within the astrobiology and planetary defense sectors is reviewing the data. Theories, however, are growing fast. Some believe 3I Atlas contains exotic matter trapped inside from a magnetar explosion, material undergoing transitions that mimic life. Others think it could be a natural molecular machine, self-organizing chemistry on a scale never before seen. And a few whisper a possibility more unsettling than any other, that 3I Atlas may be the remnant of a technological structure, a relic, a fragment of something engineered long ago, drifting between stars with some internal process still operating. Not intelligently, not purposefully, but persistently, like a seed, a node, or a system built to survive extreme cosmic conditions. If it is technological, it may not even be functioning as intended. It may simply be reacting the way it was designed to react when exposed to solar energy after millions of years of dormancy. Whatever the truth is, the James Webb Space Telescope has forced us into a new era of questioning. The universe is no longer a silent expanse of inert matter and random debris. At least one object out there, 3I Atlas, contains internal processes that should not exist inside a drifting interstellar body. Something is happening deep inside it. Something energetic, something organized, something alive in the way a mechanism, a system, or a biological structure can be alive. And it's moving, slowly, steadily, outward, toward the surface, and aligned, whether by accident or design, toward Earth. NASA is watching. Every observatory is watching. The world should be watching. Because whatever is inside 3I Atlas, it is awakening.